Hi, I'm Madeline Finley and this is Brooke Everett. We're here to do the School of Information IT Lab's Capstone Design Short Course. We're going to start by discussing what a poster is. This is a large presentation medium that is meant to be viewed from a distance, and it should sum up your material quickly and succinctly all at once. You want to use as many images instead of text because you want it to attract the attention of a passerby very easily and quickly, and they should be able to get a good sum up of what your project was without having to spend too much time there. This is an opportunity for you to present your work in a close, interactive setting. Here are what poster sessions look like. You guys have seen the poster sessions here. This year we're going to be up on the 5th floor, so you can start thinking about the space up there and how far away people will be standing from your poster. Whenever you present your poster, you should consider bringing some handouts, such as business cards or some kind of leaflet. You just want to have some sort of takeaway so that whenever they leave your poster, they can find a way to look further into your project again. You should memorize a couple of spiels that you can bring out depending on your viewer's level of interest. You should have like a short elevator pitch sort of summation so that you can just give them a short recap of what you did. And then you'll want to have a more detailed explanation ready if someone is more interested in talking about your work and wants to pursue more details. You also want to remember not to block your poster. Don't stand directly in front of it. You want it to be visible because that is what will bring people over to you. Suggested content for a poster includes objectives of your project, the methodology that you used, the outcomes of your project, and conclusions that you draw from the outcomes. You also want to make sure to include your advisor information on the poster to give credit to your faculty advisor and field advisor. The poster should be no larger than 20 by 30 inches, and this is something that I'm going to address now and again later. You want to make sure that you set it to 20 by 30 inches whenever you start making the poster, not at the end. That should be the first thing you do whenever you start making your poster. At the show, you can use a laptop if you have some sort of audiovisual material you want, or a website that you worked on if you want to show people. But you need to make prior arrangements to have a laptop there, and you should really do that pretty much now. The iSchool provides foam core to put your posters on and an easel, so that'll all be set up for you. You just need to bring your poster. There are a few different ways to put your poster together. You can use PowerPoint, Adobe InDesign, or Photoshop, or Visio or Omnigraphal. We have all of these in the lab. You should just use whatever you're most comfortable with. Most people end up using PowerPoint because everyone knows how to use PowerPoint, and you can make a great poster in PowerPoint. When editing images in Photoshop or Illustrator, you should use the cayenne magenta yellow key settings rather than red, green, and blue. If you're going to put screen captures on your poster, you need to set the resolution high enough so that the image won't degrade when it's enlarged. Basically, if you take a screenshot and it already looks fuzzy, it's going to look 10 times as fuzzy blown up on a poster. So if it doesn't look good small, it's not going to look good big. 400 DPI should be high enough, and you can adjust that in your photo editor or on the displays. And you can also make screenshots in PowerPoint. We can show you that here. You can go to Insert and then Screenshot, and it'll let you pick a screenshot of all the open windows. You can choose which window to take a screenshot of. As stated, the tools that you'll need to use here in the lab are InDesign, PowerPoint, or Omnigraphal, and then the plotter, which is our big poster printer here in the lab. Whenever you're getting started with PowerPoint, you need to, this is what I was talking about earlier, resize your slide immediately after opening PowerPoint. You can do this by going to Design Page Setup. It's here. And then you can adjust right here in inches. You can make this 20 by 30 or 30 by 20 depending on the orientation, which you can also adjust through the same file path, menu path. On a Mac, the page setup menu, I don't know, the file page setup, whatever. On a Mac, page setup is found under the file menu instead of here on the PC under design. But want to remember color blindness whenever you're designing your poster. You don't want to use color combinations that people might not be able to see, such as 2 shades of the same color or 2 light colors next to each other, that kind of thing. You'll want to create a high contrast. What is most recommended is a light background with the dark text, because you want the text to be very visible. To print on the plotter here in the lab, you need to make an appointment. If you haven't already, there's a sign-up sheet in the lab on the counter. You need to be prepared to spend 10 to 30 minutes printing. You should arrive with your file on a flash drive, CD, or on WebSpace. I suppose you could also email it to yourself. You'll want to bring in a file, the poster file, in both the original format and as a PDF, just in case something goes wrong with formatting. In either case, you want to be able to fix that and have them both on hand. It usually costs between $2 to $4 to print a poster. You need to bring $1 bills or quarters because we cannot make change in the lab. Brooke is going to take over here about visual design tips.
Okay, there are a couple of things that we need to keep in mind when doing the visual design of a poster. The first thing is to make sure that the title and text are large enough to read from a distance. I think that we have a poster that will kind of illustrate this as I go along. The title should be able to be read at 25 feet, and you can see the poster that we have, the top line is 144 points, and creating the content for your poster, you want to use lists rather than big blocks of text. It's just more eye-catching. Don't underline, but use italics instead when you want to provide some emphasis. You should also use a really easy-to-read font. Avoid scripts and calligraphy at all times. Don't forget to proofread your poster. This sounds really basic, but it happens all the time that someone comes in and proofs their poster, and then they're looking at the finished product and there are errors in it. So be sure and proofread that. If you want some help with that, Purple Shirts are always happy to help you look at it before you print it. Don't overfill your poster with content. It's really important that you say things as succinctly as possible and use images whenever possible. It just creates a much more appealing poster. So we came up with some ideas. We found a couple of posters that previous iSchool students have done, and we wanted to kind of show these to you to get you thinking in terms of what your poster might look like. This one here I thought was really interesting for, I would say, a lot of iSchoolers did projects of art bubble collections. I really like how this one throws in that family tree. There's lots of images of the actual collection. I just think it was a nice thing to look at as you're thinking about your own poster. This is not a poster from an iSchool poster session. However, I really like the way it incorporates in the timeline and pulls out sections of content here, and it gives you a way to just kind of visually tell about what your experience was, and I think it's nice to look at. So when you're thinking about images that you're going to use on your poster, keep in mind charts, graphs, diagrams, maps, timelines, and textual visualizations. I'm going to give you some ideas for where to come up with these. So PowerPoint, the newest version of PowerPoint has all kinds of tools to help you kind of create a visual for your poster. So I want to show you SmartArt first. So SmartArt is located under the Insert tab in this version of PowerPoint. I'm going to click on it here and take a look at all these different options that you can use. If you have a list of things that you want to put on, maybe consider using one of these tools to make it just look a little bit nicer. Know that these are all shown in blue. However, the color combinations are completely customizable. Workflows might be something that a lot of iSchool students would want to incorporate in their posters, so there are lots of options for ways to do workflow diagrams. Here are some of those. If you wanted to throw in a family tree like we mentioned earlier, you could do that here with these hierarchy areas. And I just wanted you to know that these exist, because I think it can kind of give people who have a hard time coming up with ideas for visuals just some ideas. So be sure and check those out. Also know that PowerPoint has charts available here, and so if you have any data or if you have any numbers or anything like that that you want to use, consider using, if you want to put in a bar graph, I think PowerPoint makes it really easy for you to do that. You click on which one you want to use. It opens up an Excel spreadsheet, and you can just insert your data here, and you have a pretty quickly made chart. So keep those in mind. There's also, infographics is a really huge deal these days, and there's a lot of inspiration and ideas out there available for you if you Google infographics. One that I wanted to show you is visual.ly. I know last year I saw that a lot of iSchoolers had, created social media plans, things like that for their capstone, and so I thought this would be a really good option. If you go to this website, you can connect it with a social media account, and it just produces all of this information in an infographic format. So if you have any kind of social media component to your project, definitely check out this source. PictoChart is another one I wanted to mention. It's another infographics application. Definitely check that out. If you're still having trouble thinking in terms of visualizing any information, I kind of like this diagram creator. I linked it here. I like the way you can just have like a nested list, and it just kind of creates this diagram here for you. So I think that's good for a little bit of inspiration. Also, you can customize it here. You can also do textual visualizations if you have any kind of content analysis or any aspect like that to your project. Think about doing a word cloud. I really like this one that's done in the shape of Mona Lisa. You can be really creative. I did that at this site here. You can think about including a map if there's any kind of geographical component to your project. Keep in mind, if you are using a map, that a lot of the Create a Map applications that are available online are designed not for a print format, but for an interactive web format. So you might want to begin creating it with one of those applications, and then alter it more in a like Photoshop or another software like that. Okay, QR codes. I think this is a cool idea for adding to your poster. You can just create a QR code really easily. Just Google QR code generator, and you can put a QR code on your poster and send any person who's at the poster session directly to any website that you want. So if you have an e-portfolio that you want to be sending people to, you can put that on there and link them up really quickly. Or if your project has a website that accompanies it, you can use that to create a to create a connection. And keep in mind that QR codes don't have to be just a box shape. This QRstuff.com can tell you more about creating neat-looking QR codes. So, normally this is the time when I kind of do a little brainstorm session. So I want everyone to be thinking about different ideas that they might use for their own project. I had an idea recently that I wanted to share with you guys. I did some interviews during my project, so I was thinking of using that smart art to kind of convey the information that I collected through my interviews by selecting this matrix, and I think it's this one. I was thinking I could kind of put quotes from my interviews that I did in each box, and maybe inside this box say who I did the interviews with. For instance, in my project I did interviews with project managers, so then I could just put quotes from each one that I used in designing the wiki for them. So hopefully you have a good idea of where to start for your capstone poster. If not, or if you have any questions, of course come into the lab and we would be happy to help you. Thanks for watching our short course.